Welcome back everyone to Geek Tech Live. In this episode we're going to talk a little bit about how I can help you save a little bit of money and transfer your home landline directly to Google Voice. It's a couple of steps involved and it will cost you just a little bit of cash, but once you're done with that, you'll basically have your home line, your home landline number that will ring any number of phones that you want to set up inside of Google Voice. And the best thing about it is you can ditch your landline and not have to pay those monthly costs for using something that you probably don't use now. You can also reuse some of this if you already have Google Voice to kind of figure out some extra things you can use Google Voice for, especially if you want to add extra lines or extra numbers into your Google Voice pool. So, without further ado, let's start the show. Well, you may or may not be like me, but if you are, one of the things that I've had to do for a while is hold on to our home phone number. One of the reasons is because it's really easy for me to remember it. The other thing is it's pretty much tied to a bunch of different things that I don't necessarily want to have to go through, mostly because I'm lazy, to change up, like credit cards and other billing statements that are assuming that they're going to call you at this number. If you have more than 5 of them, you can pretty much waste a whole weekend or a whole 5 days of lunches just sitting on the phone trying to change your number over, making sure that it's all over before you actually ditch your home line. Well, I just didn't want to deal with that type of a mess, so I figured why not actually go ahead and try a different solution, or maybe a better way to keep my landline number, but at the same time not having, I didn't want to pay, you know, AT&T or whoever whoever you're using. You know, we're paying essentially 20 bucks a month for a phone that gets 3 phone calls during that month. It's just not cost effective, and frankly, I have to go all the way home usually before I get notified that I actually had voicemail. So there's a lot of little things that kind of worked its way into it, and after talking with the wife over a couple of ideas and options and explaining what we could actually do with it, we decided to go ahead and see if we could port a home number over to Google Voice. So, sounds easy, but it's not exactly what you'd expect you'd need to do it. And there's a lot of things that, I guess for lack of a better term, you wouldn't expect to actually have to do or need to do if it was already a cellular phone. So, without further ado, the steps. Step number 1. You need to get your home phone and get it into a cellular phone, or be registered or look like a cellular phone number. Google Voice will not port in a home number, especially if it knows that it's not registered with a cellular phone in any way, shape, or fashion. So step 1 is you need to go and find yourself a Go phone. If you're on AT&T's network, go to a track phone, go to Target, Walmart, AT&T, Verizon. They all have the little, you know, cheap $19, $20 phones. Don't spend a lot of money on this, people. Spend the minimum amount of money that you can. So I picked up a $19 Go phone at AT&T store and loaded it up with $15 worth of minutes. So at this point, I'm in it for about 35 bucks. At that point, when you go into the AT&T store, or if you're on any of the other stores, and this is where I'm not sure the track phone will do it or anything like that. I can guarantee you the AT&T stores, and I'm sure Verizon, US Cellular, T-Mobile, all the other ones will do this the exact same way. You basically go in, say, I'd like that phone over there, and they say, what would you like with it? No, I don't need any accessories. Put $15 worth of minutes on there, and oh, by the way, here's my bill. I want my home number ported to that track phone or that AT&T Go phone. They will look at you funny. The guy that I did, he looked at me a little bit weird, but at that point, he said, all right, fine. I don't know if I can port a home number. They can port a home number. They will try not to port the home number for you. I'm going to tell you this right now. But stick with it, stay on task, stay on target, and tell them, no, I want my home number ported to that Go phone. And if you could please do that immediately, that would be fantastic. They'll go through a couple of the things. They might even go and get the manager, but eventually they will set it up, and your home phone will start the porting process to your Go phone, in my case, Go phone. At that point, you can leave the store, go home, go to sleep, go have dinner, whatever you're going to do. It's going to take a little while. But on to step number 2. Step 2, or dos. Yeah, that's about my limit of Spanish. Step number 2. Once the phone is activated and you get a text message that states your porting has been successful, don't just go run and set yourself up with Google Voice. Don't just wait. Okay. Now that you have that, step number 2 is get that text message and then make a phone call to your home number. Make sure that it actually does ring your cell phone. Just because they activated it doesn't mean they did it right. So let's make sure that everything is right before you make the next step. Once that's good, you're able to move on to step number 3, which is actually moving your phone number to Google Voice. All right, step number 3. Whatever. Step number 3. You have your phone, it's been ported over. The number actually has been worked, it basically works. You've confirmed that it works. So now you need to do one of 2 things. And here's where the steps fork a little bit. If you already have a Google Voice number, which I did, you can still port your number into it, and basically replaces your Google Voice number with your home number. Simple. There is a charge for that. If you already have it, I had to pay an additional $20. Now, from what I've been reading online, if you don't already have a Google Voice account, go there and get set up with it. When they ask, do you have a number you'd like to port in, or would you like a Google Voice number in your area, don't pick the Google Voice number in your area, pick your home telephone number that's now on a cellular phone. When you do that, it'll say, hey, I can port that number. Go ahead and run through the basic steps. There's like 4 or 5 steps. And at that point, the porting request and your Google Voice account will become active. Now, the Google Voice account is not going to be able to take calls until that porting request is done. I believe they do give you a fake number for a short period of time. Don't give that out. Don't mess with it. Just wait again. This is one of those things. It's a little bit of a waiting game, but when you're done, you're going to have a much cooler sort of setup, and you're going to be saving a lot of money. So, at this point, wait. You get a porting request is finalized email. Basically, you set it up with your Gmail account or with whatever account else you're going to use, and your Google Voice will be set up, and they will notify you via email. Once that's done, you can basically move on to step 4. All right. So at this point, you've gone through all the first 3 steps. You've ported your home number into essentially a Go phone. You've taken that Go phone or that prepaid phone and now ported that number into Google Voice. Now Google Voice has now, at this point, should have sent you an email or some other notification saying, hey, congratulations, your number is now in the system, and your Go phone or your prepaid phone that you have is pretty much a brick, unfortunately. It's not going to work. It's not going to be active. It's pretty much, you kind of threw away a little bit of that money. But it's a one-shot deal. You don't have to worry about it again. And you can always repurpose that phone. There's places you can donate it to. There's places that you can give people phones that need them. Please take the time, take that phone and donate it to somebody. Don't just throw it out. Find somebody who's in need. Find somebody who needs a phone and give it to them. Again, it's paying it forward, and it's a small price to pay to do it, but if you're going to do this sort of move of your phone, at least do something with the phone when you're done with it. It just makes more sense across the board. Again, I'm off my soapbox. Do with what you want, but I'm just saying the smart move is to take that phone and donate it. Give it to a homeless shelter or a Goodwill, or there's a bunch of phone places you can drop off that you can give it to essentially soldiers and things like that. There's a whole bunch of different places that you can donate to, and there's a whole bunch of people that are in need of those types of things. If you're doing this, you probably don't really care about the $20 that you're going to spend on the GoPhone plus the $15 extra stuff. It's a small price to pay, and you get to be able to give something to someone else as well, so everybody wins. On to step 4. Obviously, at this point, your GoPhone should be dead. Your Google Voice number should be fully active. Inside Google Voice, you basically have to set up a phone that it's going to ring. Google Voice really doesn't do much other than forward phone calls. It has voicemail properties and things like that. You can send texts and things via your Google Voice number, but it's kind of a router. It really doesn't do a lot of stuff internally. You can't really put that type of thing on your iPhone, your Android phone, things like that. But it works very well for things like, in the case of myself and my wife, we have 2 phones. We want to be able to have our home phone ring both of our phones at the same time. That's exactly what Google Voice can do for you. So you basically set up the phones that you want to ring, and it sends a text message and calls the phone. You register that phone to make sure that you're not just forwarding phones to nowhere or to spam people. And at that point, your Google Voice number, when called from an outside line, will ring all the phones that you have in that list. And that could be your work phone, your home phone, or your work phone, your cell phone, your wife's phone, your kids, however many phones that you have as far as mobile stuff, all that can be added into Google Voice without any real problem. One thing to note, that once your phone is registered with Google Voice, if you try to call that main number to test it from your own phone, it's basically like calling yourself, so you're going to get your voicemail. Set up your Google voicemail. Obviously, if you're not going to answer the phone, or if no one gets to the phone, people can leave voicemails. They will transcribe those voicemails for you if they can. So you'll get an email with the transcribed voicemail, and it's a good service. It's a free service on top of it. So it's a really overall, I really like it. There's a lot of stuff that Google Voice can do for you, but this is not about what Google Voice all-encompassing can do for you. This is about getting away from basically, for us, we were paying $30 a month, and we were getting approximately 3 to 4 phone calls, and usually 2 of them were telemarketers. We had a few other people that would call us, but frankly, we really wanted to keep our home number, and this was the cheapest and most economical solution when we were all said and done. So when I was done with it, I spent about $55 to do it. That's only because I already had a Google Voice account, so I had to actually replace the Google Voice number with another number, and so the first one's free, the second one they actually charge you 20 bucks. If you don't have Google Voice at this point in time, it'll only cost you about $35 to do, so it's a really good deal, and it's basically 1 month of your home phone, or in my case, it's 1 month and $5 of what we were paying, and now our home phone is essentially free. We're already going to pay for our cell phones anyways, so why not do it? The downside to that too is if you're bundling any of your packages, you know how AT&T bundles everything, you could incur extra costs if you cancel your home phone, being that it's part of a bundle. You could end up with some stiff penalties and stiff fees. So before you actually go into this and do this, make sure of exactly what you're getting into, and make sure all of the costs are going to be there. If it works out for you, just like it worked out for me, you're going to save a decent amount of money. I mean, go ahead and do the math. $30 times 12, that's what you save every year, year over year. If you're already going to spend the money on your cell phones, just move the home phone to your cell phone and you'll be done. So anyways, that's how you move a home phone landline into a GoPhone and then into Google Voice and save about $30 a month.